And away we go, episode 1281 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Monday, March 16th, 2026. It is the day after Selection Sunday for the 2026 NCAA tournament in men's college basketball. 4 teams from the Mid-Atlantic region made the 2026 NCAA tournament. Virginia, VCU, Howard, and UMBC. Later in the show, a breakdown of the teams from our region that made the NCAA tournament and that made the NIT, including reaction to Virginia Tech saying no thank you to the NIT, and discussion of what went down with the teams in our region in conference tournaments over the weekend. Hello and welcome to this Monday installment of the Al Galdi podcast, which follows Washington, D.C. area sports so that you don't have to. This also is a podcast on which we talk Washington Commanders on every episode, no matter the time of year. And we have a lot to talk about with our football team off a lot of activity since we last spoke on Friday. The Commanders on Friday afternoon officially announced having signed left tackle Laremy Tunsil to a contract extension and officially announced having re-signed unrestricted free agent offensive tackle Trent Scott. The Commanders on Friday officially announced the signings of a number of unrestricted free agents on offense, running back Rachaad White on defense, safety Nick Cross, linebacker Leo Chenal, and edge defenders Chaisson and Charles Omenihu. And a bunch of these guys did press conferences on Friday. We on Friday afternoon had reports that the Commanders had agreed with unrestricted free agent receivers Dyami Brown and Van Jefferson on contracts. And we on Friday night had reports that unrestricted free agent left guard Chris Paul had agreed to re-sign with the Commanders. We on Saturday morning had reports that the Commanders had agreed with unrestricted free agent running back Jerome Ford on a contract. The Commanders on Saturday morning officially announced having signed unrestricted free agent edge defender Odafe Oweh, and he did a press conference on Saturday morning. The Cincinnati Bengals, they on Saturday morning announced having signed Commanders unrestricted free agent quarterback Josh Johnson, and we on Saturday night had reports that Commanders unrestricted free agent quarterback Noah Igbinoghene had agreed with the Seattle Seahawks on a contract. So a lot has happened since this past Friday's show. Next segment, analysis of what went down over the last 3 days with the Commanders offense. The following segment, analysis of what went down over the last 3 days with the Commanders defense. Also on the show, I'll talk Washington Capitals and Washington Wizards. Each team in its one game over the weekend lost to a team from Boston on Saturday. The Caps, a 3-2 shootout loss to the Boston Bruins at Capital One Arena on Saturday, what was the Caps' 5th loss in 7 games as the Caps' hopes for making the Stanley Cup playoffs continued to fade. The Wizards, a 111-100 loss at the Boston Celtics on Saturday evening, what was the Wizards' 11th consecutive loss as the Wizards' tank continues to go quite well. Before we get to feedback, news from Washington National spring training in West Palm Beach, Florida, and Baltimore Orioles spring training in Sarasota, Florida. The Nats' latest cuts include the team on Friday afternoon announcing having option pitcher Mitchell Parker to AAA Rochester. Parker's coming off a really bad season. He in the 2025 regular season over 33 games, including 30 starts, finished next to last among all qualified MLB pitchers in ERA. 5.68. Last was another Nats starting pitcher, Jake Irvin. The O's, they on Friday morning announced that Trevor Rogers is their opening day starting pitcher. The choice was between Rogers and Kyle Bradish. Either choice was fine, but Rogers is coming off a remarkable 2025 regular season at the major league level of having struggled for the O's. 18 starts, ERA of 1.81, whip of 0.903, wins above replacement per Baseball Reference of 5.5. 5.5 WAR over just 18 starts is insane. He didn't join the Orioles rotation last season until June, and yet he pitched his way into being a candidate for the American League Cy Young Award. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Email from Aaron Bartel regarding the Commanders' expected pursuit of receiver Brandon Ayuk once the San Francisco 49ers release him. Writes Aaron, fun nugget from PFF last week. What does PFF know? Thank you for the email, Aaron. And his email includes a screenshot of Pro Football Focus last week having Brandon Ayuk as a member of the Commanders, not the Niners. This was a mistake. A good friend of this podcast, Pro Football Focus senior data analyst and Commanders fan Nick Ackridge, he in a post on X this past Thursday afternoon said that PFF having Aiyuk as a member of the Commanders was simply a mistake. But the widespread expectation is that the Commanders are going to sign this guy once the Niners release him. Now, the question is, when will the Niners release him? ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter, he on ESPN's NFL Live this past Wednesday afternoon said that the Niners are in no hurry to release Aiyuk. Here was that.
Well, first and foremost, I know it says that they're planning to release him, but I'd like to add on that they're not planning to release him anytime soon.
Okay.
They essentially have no guaranteed money left in his contract, so they can hold on to him for the time being. They could hold on to him in the draft and see if they could flip him for a pick at that point in time. They could hold on to him until June. They've paid him an awful lot of money. I don't think this is happening anytime soon, despite the report. And I think that they'll be holding on to him for a little while to see if there's any trade value at all. Washington does make a lot of sense. He played with Jaden Daniels in college. They're very close. Jaden Daniels, I'm sure, would love to play again with Brandon Aiyuk, but I don't get the sense that the 49ers are in any rush to move on from Brandon Aiyuk, even though we know eventually they will.
Yeah, so we may have to wait a bit for the Niners to release Brandon Aiyuk, but when it comes to this apparent inevitability of the Commanders signing him, I'm okay with them signing him under three conditions. A, the contract is a low-money, team-friendly deal. B, Aiyuk is healthy. And C, the Commanders are confident that Aiyuk will be on his best behavior. And given his past with general manager Adam Peters and quarterback Jaden Daniels, you'd like to think that the team will have a good handle on if Aiyuk is sincere about being on his best behavior. But if those three conditions are met, I am good with the Commanders signing Aiyuk. It is important to understand, though, that this guy has not played in an NFL regular season game since October 20th, 2024, when he suffered a torn ACL and torn MCL in his right knee. The 2026 season would be his age 28 season, so it's not like he's ancient, but what he now is as an NFL receiver is an unknown. What is not an unknown is that Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is terrific for enjoying yourself with no worries. Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It is a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for rough days after drinking. Well, Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink produces an enzyme to break down this byproduct. Make Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best the next day. Enjoy drinks with friends, enjoy drinks while watching the big game, and don't sacrifice your productivity the next day. Start your night with Z-Biotics pre-alcohol and wake up ready to show up strong at work, clear-headed, focused, and back to business. Go to zbiotics.com/Galdi, and you'll get 15% off your first order when you use the promo code Galdi at checkout. Plus, Z-Biotics pre-alcohol is backed by a 100% money-back guarantee, so there's no risk. Also, subscriptions are available for maximum consistency. That's zbiotics.com/Galdi. Use the promo code Galdi at checkout for 15% off.
Today's show is sponsored by Strawberry.me. Let me ask you something. Do you think championship athletes got to the top by guessing? No, they had coaching. Every elite athlete has a coach watching their form, calling the plays, and spotting the blind spots they can't see themselves. That's how championships are won. So why are you trying to win your career without a coach? You're grinding, hoping for the promotion, trying to read the politics, guessing your next move. That's amateur hour. If you want to perform like a pro, you need coaching. Strawberry.me matches you with a professional career coach who breaks down your game film. They help you negotiate the raise, navigate workplace politics, and execute a strategy that actually works. Stop riding the bench in your own life. Go to strawberry.me/podcast50 to get 50% off your first coaching session. Strawberry.me, because pros don't guess, they get coached to win.
Bleacher Report is your destination for sports, and, well, I would know. Hey, everybody, Trey Wingo here, longtime sports host, and it's my favorite time of the year. NFL free agency is in full swing. It's March Madness. Major League Baseball is back. The NBA and NHL are heating up as well. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. You can follow the teams you care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. And we all know the best part of sports is the community. Bleacher Report makes it easy to drop your takes and relive every moment with other fans. It's fast, it's personalized, and it keeps me in the game no matter where I am. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
A lot of activity for the Washington Commanders offense in recent days as we now are through the first 5 days of the NFL's 2026-2027 league year. The Commanders on Friday morning officially announced the signing of Tampa Bay Buccaneers unrestricted free agent running back Rachaad White. The Commanders on Friday afternoon officially announced having signed left tackle Laremy Tunsil to a contract extension and officially announced having re-signed unrestricted free agent offensive tackle Trent Scott. We on Friday afternoon had reports that the Commanders had agreed with two unrestricted free agent receivers, the Jacksonville Jaguars' Dyami Brown and the Tennessee Titans' Van Jefferson, on contracts. We on Friday night had reports that unrestricted free agent left guard Chris Paul had agreed to re-sign with the Commanders. We on Saturday morning had reports that the Commanders had agreed with unrestricted free agent running back Jerome Ford on a contract. And the Cincinnati Bengals on Saturday morning announced having signed Commanders unrestricted free agent quarterback Josh Johnson. I feel like the team signing Laremy Tunsil to a contract extension is getting overlooked because of everything else that has happened with the team in free agency, but the Tunsil extension is a big deal. General Manager Adam Peters got an extension done and got an extension done quickly, and Washington has its best left tackle since Trent Williams, now under contract for a reported 3 more seasons, 2026 through 2028. The extension, per reports, is a 2-year, $60.2 million extension with $52.65 million fully guaranteed at signing. Makes Tunsil the first offensive lineman in NFL history with an average annual value and AAV of at least $30 million. So this off him having been the first offensive lineman in NFL history with an AAV of at least $20 million, and off him having been the first offensive lineman in NFL history with an AAV of at least $25 million. So also with the offensive line, the team is re-signing Chris Paul. Now, the expectation had been that Paul would be gone because his market would be too good. Well, it appears that his market was not so good. And I don't know if this expectation of his market being so good was a bad job of reporting by the media or was Paul's agent lying, but it sure seems as if Paul's market was disappointing. The 2026 season will be Paul's age 28 season. The Commanders took him in the 7th round of the 2022 NFL Draft out of the University of Tulsa. He, over his first 3 NFL seasons, did not do much, although he in the 2023 regular season did start 7 games at left guard, off having been inactive for each of the Commanders' first 7 games of the 2023 regular season. But Paul, in the 2025 regular season, supplanted Brandon Coleman as the Commanders' number 1 left guard and started each of the team's final 15 games. In fact, he, over those 15 games, played on 100% of the team's offensive snaps. Now, he, over those 15 games, registered an overall grade per Pro Football Focus of just 49.8. That's bad. PFF grades are on a scale of 0 to 100. 60 is average. So it's not like he was this elite left guard, but he impressed the team enough to be its number 1 left guard, and he, from a pass blocking standpoint, did well. Paul, over the 15 games per PFF, had a pass blocking grade of 78.2, had a run blocking grade of just 38.2. Quite the discrepancy between the pass blocking grade and the run blocking grade, but I'm glad that the Commanders are re-signing Chris Paul. Is he the team's definite number 1 starting left guard for the 2026 season? Well, some of that will depend on if the team does anything of consequence at center, or is just going with Nick Allegretti as the starting center. But Allegretti, Brandon Coleman, and Andrew Wiley, all are options at left guard in addition to Chris Paul. The only 3 starting spots on the offensive line that appear to be definite are Laremy Tunsil at left tackle, Josh Connerly Jr. at right tackle, and Samuel Cosmi at right guard. The Commanders do need to do more at receiver, but 2 receivers are being signed in Dyami Brown and Van Jefferson. Each guy reportedly is signing a 1-year contract. And yeah, Dyami Brown is back. The 2026 season will be his age 27 season. The Washington football team took Brown in the 3rd round of the 2021 NFL Draft out of the University of North Carolina. He is fast. He had the UNC Pro Day on March 29th, 2021, ran a 4.44 second 40-yard dash. He was a productive collegiate receiver, had back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons for UNC in 2019 and 2020, which were sophomore and junior seasons. So he, for his 2019 season, had a yards per catch of 20.27. He, for his 2020 season, had a yards per catch of 19.98. But Brown, over his first 3 NFL regular seasons, did not do much. A total just 29 receptions. Brown in the 2024 regular season played in 16 of the Commanders' 17 games and had 30 receptions for 308 yards and a touchdown on 40 targets. And he and the team going 2-1 in the postseason for the 2024 season was productive, albeit with 2 fumbles. But January 12th, 2025, the Commanders' 23-20 walk-off win at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the wild card round. Brown had 5 receptions for 89 yards and a touchdown on 5 targets and playing on 62% of the Commanders' offensive snaps. He, for the game, had an overall grade per Pro Football Focus of 80.2, which was the second highest overall grade for any Commanders player who played on at least 25 offensive snaps in the game. January 18th, 2025, the Commanders' 45-31 win at the Detroit Lions in the divisional round. Brown had 6 receptions for 98 yards on 8 targets and playing on 83% of the Commanders' offensive snaps. So he did have a fumble that went out of bounds, and he did have what you could consider a drop. And January 26th, 2025, the Commanders' 55-23 loss at the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship game. Brown had 3 receptions for 42 yards on 5 targets, and he had a lost fumble. He played on 77% of the Commanders' offensive snaps. The truth is that the overall body of work for Dyami Brown over his first 4 seasons with Washington, 2021 through 2024, was not good, and he had an issue with drops, and it's dangerous to read too much into him having a few good games toward the end of that first stint with Washington. But he did have some big catches for the team in the postseason for the 2024 season, and hopefully that can carry over into the 2026 season. But also know this, Dyami Brown was a bust for the Jaguars. Brown in March 2025 signed a 1-year contract with the Jags as an unrestricted free agent. The contract per overthecap.com and spottrack.com was a 1-year, $10 million deal. Brown in the 2025 regular season played in 14 of the Jags' 17 games and had just 20 receptions for 227 yards and a touchdown on 37 targets. He, for the Jags' 27-24 home loss to the Buffalo Bills this past January 11th in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, was a healthy inactive. The idea of Dyami Brown has been grander than the reality of Dyami Brown. Now, I have no problem with the Commanders signing him to a 1-year team-friendly contract, which presumably this is, but it is important to understand what he has been as an NFL receiver. As for Van Jefferson, the 2026 season will be his age 30 season. Jefferson was taken by the Los Angeles Rams in the second round of the 2020 NFL Draft out of the University of Florida. He comes to the Commanders having played in regular season games for 4 teams: the Los Angeles Rams, Atlanta Falcons, Pittsburgh Steelers, and Tennessee Titans. Jefferson in the 2024 regular season played in all 17 of the Steelers games and had 24 receptions for 276 yards and 2 touchdowns on 40 targets. Jefferson in the 2025 regular season played in 16 of the Titans' 17 games and had 29 receptions for 350 yards and a touchdown on 52 targets. He ideally is a number 5 or number 6 receiver for the Commanders, but he has shown that he can stay healthy and put up some numbers. Another addition for the Commanders offense, we on Saturday morning had reports that the team had agreed with Cleveland Browns unrestricted free agent running back Jerome Ford on a contract. Jerome Ford. Jerome in the house. If you remember the great 1990s television show on Fox, Martin, starring Martin Lawrence, one of the characters he played on the show was Jerome. And every time Jerome showed up, he proclaimed, quote, "I say Jerome in the house," end quote. Here you go.
I say Jerome in the house.
Yeah, I say Jerome in the house. That used to crack me up. Well, the Commanders now are getting a Jerome Ford. You know, the Northwest Stadium game day operations crew should play that soundbite whenever Ford scores a touchdown. And actually, the soundbite works especially well because a euphemism for scoring a touchdown is taking the ball to the house. A house call. So, quote, "I say Jerome in the house," end quote, would work perfectly for a Jerome Ford touchdown. The 2026 season will be Ford's age 27 season. He was taken by the Cleveland Browns in the 5th round of the 2022 NFL Draft out of the University of Cincinnati. Played for the Browns for 4 seasons, 2022 through 2025. He, over the 2023 and 2024 regular seasons, had success as a ball carrier. Then, this past regular season, had just 24 carries, but he, over the 2023 through 2025 regular seasons, totaled 107 receptions. So he's very capable as a pass catcher, and he had a really good 2023 regular season, 1,132 yards from scrimmage and 9 combined rushing and receiving touchdowns. So the Commanders signing Ford would seem to lessen the likelihood of them re-signing unrestricted free agent running back Jeremy McNichols. So though the team still has so few running backs, so the Commanders running back stable is set to have just 3 guys, even once the signing of Ford becomes official. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Rachaad White, and Jeremy Ford. The signing of Rachaad White now is official. The team this past Friday morning officially announced having signed White. We this past Thursday afternoon had reports that the Commanders had agreed with Tampa Bay Buccaneers unrestricted free agent running back Rachaad White on a contract. The Bucs took White in the 3rd round of the 2022 NFL Draft out of Arizona State, for which White played for the 2020 and 2021 seasons. The Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels played for Arizona State for the 2019 through 2021 seasons. Rachaad White on Friday morning did a press conference. We, during the presser, had this exchange between Donna Hopkins of Pro Football Plus and White.
Hey, Rachaad, welcome to the DMV. So now we know that we can find out the scoop about Jayden, but what did Jayden tell you about Washington and playing for Washington since he's been here for a while? What was the things that he said stood out?
I think the biggest thing he told me it was just a great city, obviously a great fan base, obviously a great culture of what they was building here. Obviously, he got close to a Super Bowl his rookie year, and I think, his biggest thing was obviously he's trying to win one. And so, obviously his biggest thing is, trying to, of course, help fit the mold of guys he feel like can help win one. So I think that was the biggest thing. I mean, obviously after the news broke and things like that and stuff, we talked and that was his biggest thing of and he know that the type of guy I am, the type of player I am, the type of competitor I am, and who I am and my character. So he felt like I fit too as well and trying to win, and that's what I'm about. So
I don't know about you, but to me, it's odd hearing Rachaad White say that Jayden Daniels in his 2024 rookie season got close to a Super Bowl. But yeah, that actually did happen. Rachaad White being friends with Jayden Daniels is not an appropriate reason for the Commanders to sign White. Like, the guy needs to have a lot more going for him than just being buddies with Jayden Daniels. But Rachaad White does have a lot more going for him than just being buddies with Daniels. The reason for the Commanders to sign White is him being a good back. That White and Daniels are friends, though, is a bonus. So we on Friday morning had this exchange between Commanders insider Ben Standig of Last Man Standing on Substack and Rachaad White.
When you first met him, obviously he's developed as a quarterback and as a person. What have you kind of seen as the biggest growth, maybe from the time that you kind of met him to where he is now, both as a player and a person?
I mean, that's a great question. I think because it's like when I first met him, obviously when I got to ASU, I mean, yeah, I thought. And I tell people all the time, I used to go on interviews and tell people all the time, obviously, and I played with some, good quarterbacks. I ain't going to say that. Obviously, some great quarterbacks. Obviously, I played with the greatest all the time, but obviously they asked me who I thought was the best quarterback I always played with. I would always say him, just on the aspect how talented he was and what all he can do. So I think the biggest growth I seen him obviously do as a man is just, he always been to me the same way. He locked in, focused on his game, focused on his craft. He works very hard. I say the biggest thing is just too how he moved, man, and how more vocal he has gotten. He wasn't, when I first met him, he wasn't obviously the most vocal guy, more lead by example. things like that. But now he vocal, he comes out of shell and things like that. And, I'm just proud of him. I mean, I remember we used to always talk. We always talk all the time, literally. And I still got messages of him. He was coming off that bye week at LSU. He got hurt or something, then had a bye week. And we was just texting about how he was finna go win the Heisman. Literally, I got the messages to this day at that exact time. And I said, yeah, you is. Go do it. And, we always just been there for one another, things like that. So he just, he's just that dude. And obviously, everybody sees it.
Yes, we do. Rachaad White is a quality back who the Commanders reportedly have signed to a mere 1-year, $2 million contract, an absolute bargain. White ranked in the top 15 among all qualified NFL pass catchers per Pro Football Reference and yards after catch, yak per reception in each of the 2023 through 2025 regular seasons. White per Sport Radar had 0 drops in the 2024 regular season and 0 drops in the 2025 regular season. White has the reputation for being very good in pass protection. White just had the best rushing season of his NFL career. White in the 2025 regular season had a career best yards per carry of 4.33, had a career best rushing success rate of 53.8, and had a rushing grade per Pro Football Focus of 87.2. And White has been durable. He, over his 4 NFL seasons, has played in 67 of a possible 68 regular season games. There is a lot to like with Rachaad White. Regarding the pass protection, we on Friday morning had this exchange between David Aldridge of The Athletic and Rachaad White.
You excel in pass pro, among your other things. I just wonder how you were challenged to become good at that and what you did to become good at that.
I just say some of the coaches that I had along the way, they was huge on obviously being able to keep the quarterback upright. The quarterback is the one that makes, obviously the bulk or a lot of the money, and, protecting him is huge. And quarterback obviously is essential to us winning games. So it boils down to just doing my job, doing what I'm asked to do. I mean, that's a part of my job description. So I remember I said this kind of when I was coming out, that I try to pride myself on being able to do a lot of things and do a lot of things well on the field. And I feel like my game and my skill set and my talent, shows that. So I think obviously it's important to pass protect because that's my job, and I need to do it at a high level. So that's what I do. I take pride in that.
All right, and also with the Commanders' offense over the last 3 days was the team losing its QB3 for this past season. Josh Johnson, the Cincinnati Bengals, on Saturday morning announced having signed Commanders' unrestricted free agent quarterback Josh Johnson. The 2026 season will be his age 40 season as the career for the NFL's ultimate journeyman quarterback continues. Johnson was taken by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the 5th round of the 2008 NFL Draft out of the University of San Diego. He is signed with the Bengals off having played in at least one NFL regular season game for 7 different teams, off having spent time with 14 different NFL teams, including Cincinnati and 2 stints with Washington. His second stint with Washington started last April. The Commanders on April 11th, 2025, announced the signing of Johnson as an unrestricted free agent. In the 2025 regular season was the team's QB3 and played in 5 games, including 2 starts. He was the Commanders' starting quarterback for each of their final 2 games. So this past Christmas, the Commanders' 30-23 loss to the Dallas Cowboys at Northwest Stadium, Johnson started an NFL regular season game for the first time since starting for the Baltimore Ravens in a 41-21 loss at the Cincinnati Bengals on December 26th, 2021. And Johnson played well. The problem was that the Commanders barely had the ball. If you remember this game, they ran just 41 offensive plays to the Cowboys' 87, lost the time of possession battle by 17 minutes, 28 seconds. But the Commanders had a yards per play of exactly 8 to the Cowboys' 5.52. Johnson had a yards per pass attempt of 8.61, which is terrific. Hit a yards per completion of 13.2, which is terrific. And then this past January 4th, The Commanders wrapped up going 5-12 in the 2025 regular season with a 24-17 win at the Philadelphia Eagles. Johnson had a total QBR per ESPN of 89.4, which is outstanding. QBR is on a scale of 0 to 100. 50 is average, though it is worth pointing out that a number of key Eagles defensive players did not play in that game. But I'm a fan of Josh Johnson. How do you not respect this guy's longevity? And you wonder what now for the Commanders in terms of QB3. They do still have Sam Hartman, but the team this past season did not think enough of Hartman to not sign another quarterback late in the regular season. The Commanders this past December 22nd announced having signed quarterback Jeff Driscoll off the Arizona Cardinals practice squad to the active roster. Driscoll spent the 2024 season as the Commanders QB3, and he for the team's 29-18 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles at Northwest Stadium this past December 20th was the Commanders QB3, not Hartman, who remained on the practice squad. All right, the Nace Law Group, accident and injury lawyers. It has been a Washington, D.C. institution for decades. If you feel that you've been wronged, if you think that you've been wronged but aren't sure, contact the Nace Law Group, accident and injury lawyers, and schedule a no-obligation appointment. Call 202-902-7611 or visit WashingtonDCInjuryLawyers.com and tell the Nace Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. Founded in 1979, the Nace Law Group offers fierce advocacy on behalf of medical malpractice, birth injury, and personal injury victims. Led by the great Chris Nace, the Nace Law Group is focused on providing exceptional care and counsel for those who need such things the most. The Nace Law Group fights for what it believes in: you, your family, and your future. You with the Nace Law Group have an experienced advocate on your side. The Nace Law Group has secured millions of dollars in verdict and settlement amounts for clients to better enable them to care for themselves and their families. Call 202-902-7611 or visit WashingtonDCInjuryLawyers.com and tell the Nace Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. That's 202-902-7611 or WashingtonDCInjuryLawyers.com, and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. The Nace Law Group, accident and injury lawyers. We move now to the Washington Commanders defense regarding what has gone down for it since last Friday's show, as Monday marks day 6 of the NFL's 2026-2027 league year. The Commanders on Friday officially announced the signings of a number of unrestricted free agents, including the following defensive players: safety Nick Cross, linebacker Leo Chenal, and edge defenders Chaisson and Charles Omenihu, and a bunch of those guys did press conferences on Friday. The Commanders on Saturday morning officially announced having signed unrestricted free agent edge defender Odafe Oweh, and he on Saturday morning did a press conference. And we on Saturday night had reports that Commanders unrestricted free agent cornerback Noah Igbinoghene had agreed with the Seattle Seahawks on a contract. So the Commanders have lost some depth at corner, as another one of their unrestricted free agent cornerbacks, Jonathan Jones, signed with the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagles on Friday morning officially announced having signed Jones. So we last Thursday night had reports that he was signing with the Eagles. But when you also throw in the Commanders on March 6th announcing having released cornerback Marshawn Lattimore, a lot of change for the team at cornerback. The big addition at corner so far this offseason is Detroit Lions unrestricted free agent cornerback Amik Robertson. The Commanders this past Thursday afternoon officially announced having signed him. But some good stuff from these press conferences over Friday and Saturday. The Commanders on Friday morning officially announced having signed Kansas City Chiefs unrestricted free agent linebacker Leo Chenal, who is so many things that the Commanders were not on defense this past season. He is young, he's durable, he's good in pass coverage, he's good against the run, he's a good tackler, he's super athletic. The Commanders look at Leo Chenal and see the exact opposite of what they were on defense this past season. Chenal did a press conference on Friday morning. The first two exchanges of the presser were these exchanges between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and Chenal, and then you'll hear a follow-up back and forth between Commanders insider Nikki Javala of The Athletic and Chenal.
Hey, Leo, welcome to Washington. Congrats. What do you feel that you most bring to the Commanders?
I've said it before. I'll say it again. I bring violence, physicality. Game day, I'm bringing that energy, that juice. I'm ready to get these guys rolling. Not that they need it anymore, but I'm ready to uplift any way that I can, supplement any way I can, and again, get this rolling.
So where do you feel like your game took a big jump last year that shows where you're headed maybe?
It's just continuing to build every aspect of the game. I can really be anywhere, whether it's on the line, off the ball, defending a pass down the field. It's just really kind of building off things. Eyes are continuing to progress and, make plays into coverage as well. So it's not only defending the run, but being able to drop back, cover a tight end, whatever coach asked me to do, I'm ready to do it.
Thank you.
Nikki?
Hi, Leo. What intrigued you about Washington? Why did you want to come here?
It's different. I've heard great things just about the coaching staff, especially recently. I got former teammates here that are on the team now, and just the way they describe the coaching staff, just the kind of the vibe. Just the way it is, and guys are excited here. Guys are excited to show up to the building. Guys are loving football here. It's just so many good things. I really haven't heard a bad thing about the culture that they're building here, that we're building here. So I'm just excited to be part of it.
So you did reach out to guys like Wiley and Allegretti and the other former Chiefs?
Yeah. So it's nice having those resources, and I other people that kind of knew certain things, and it's just trying to pull from every resource. And I didn't hear anything negative in terms of just the people being around, and that's a huge part of it, right? It's just, do you want to show up, and obviously everybody wants to play football, but do you want to show up and do the quote unquote boring things every single day? Do you want to be excited for it? And it helps just being around so many cool people.
Well, interesting to hear that former Chiefs players on the Commanders served as recruiters to get Leo Chenal to sign with the Commanders. Chenal is a linebacker who can be used in a variety of ways. We on Friday morning had this exchange between David Aldridge of The Athletic and Chenal.
What did the coaches say to you about how they plan to use you, or how they want to use you next year?
Yeah, just like I mentioned, I'm a versatile player. That's what I pride myself in being. As I progressed when I first came to the league, I was off-ball linebacker at Wisconsin, never really been on the line, but and I wasn't asked to do a whole lot in coverage in college and stuff. So as I got in the league, I'm slowly progressing. I can play anywhere, like I said, on the line, off the ball. So it's maybe moving around a little bit, maybe staying in a spot more than others, but it's kind of fun just to hear their plan. Okay, we just want to unleash you, in the middle, blitzing, doing what we can there, and just kind of having that, freedom in their mind to just go out and play, make plays.
Yeah, if the Commanders' new defensive coordinator, Durante Jones, is going with a defense similar to what he worked in being the Minnesota Vikings defensive passing game coordinator / defensive backs coach for the last 3 seasons, then Leo Chenal could be the perfect player. The last 3 seasons were Brian Flores' first 3 seasons as Vikings defensive coordinator. His Vikings defenses have put on clinics in players being used in a variety of ways. That would seem to be an ideal defense for Leo Chenal. The Commanders on Saturday morning officially announced having signed Los Angeles Chargers unrestricted free agent edge defender Odafe Oweh. For all that the Commanders have done in free agency so far this offseason, the Oweh contract is the only true big money contract, a reported 4-year, $96 million deal with $68 million in guarantees. A big part of the Commanders signing this guy is that they're hopefully getting him as he's coming into his own as a pass rusher. They hopefully are paying for what he's going to do. The 2026 season will be his age 28 season. He did not start playing football until he was 16. Oweh over 3 seasons, 2018 through 2020 at Penn State, total just 7 sacks over 409 pass rushing snaps per Pro Football Focus. He in his 2020 season had 0 sacks, but Oweh is a freak athlete. He at Penn State's Pro Day in March 2021 ran either a 4.36 second or a 4.37 second 40-yard dash, depending on what you use as a reference. He scored a 9.92 out of a possible 10 in Kentley Platty's relative athletic score, RAS or RAS metric. That ranked number 12 out of 1,371 defensive end prospects from 1987 through 2021. Oweh was taken by the Baltimore Ravens with the number 31 overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft out of Penn State. He, over his first 3 NFL regular seasons, totaled just 13 sacks, but he, over the last 2 NFL regular seasons, has totaled 17.5 sacks. And he also is someone who, even when he has not generated a ton of sacks, has generated a good number of pressures. Oweh in the 2000 2023 regular season played in 13 games, missed 4 games due to an ankle injury. He in the 2023 regular season had just 5 sacks, but also 51 pressures per Pro Football Focus and ranked tied for number 10 among all NFL edge defenders, each with at least 100 pass rushes in PFF's pass rush win rate at 18.2%. Oweh for the 2025 regular season was number 10 among all qualified edge defenders in the NFL in ESPN's pass rush win rate at 16.67%. Odafe Oweh did a press conference on Saturday morning. This was Oweh on how he has improved as a pass rusher.
Just knowing my spots, understanding like the down and distance, the intensity of the specific down, understanding like if it's, run or pass, and, really taking advantage of that and getting that jump on the count. And then, like I said, understanding when you have that one-on-one so you can, scheme certain rushes that you do, go power first, and then, maybe you want to change it up, go speed after that. So, just playing the game of pass rushing, I think I've gotten better at that.
And hopefully he continues to get better. The Commanders on Friday afternoon officially announced having signed New England Patriots unrestricted free agent edge defender Chaisson. He's another edge defender for whom the best, we hope, is yet to come. The 2026 season will be his age 27 season. He had a disappointing NFL career off being taken by the Jacksonville Jaguars with the number 20 overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft out of LSU. But he, for the Patriots, in the 2025 regular season, played in 16 of the team's 17 games, had 7.5 sacks, and per Pro Football Focus had 54 pressures. And he in the Patriots' 4 games this past postseason had 3 sacks, and per PFF had 20 pressures. Chaisson did a press conference on Friday afternoon. We, during the presser, had this exchange between Commanders insider Ben Standig of Last Man Standing on Substack and Chaisson.
This is a new defensive coordinator, so we haven't seen what exactly it's going to look like. What did they kind of sell you on in terms of how you fit into what they do, knowing that sometimes they'll look 4-3, 3-4, kind of all over the place?
Man, I just think the most thing is just getting to the quarterback, right? I think that's the biggest thing in today's game, where we pay these guys a lot of money, we pay the pass protectors a lot of money, we pay the edge rushers a lot of money. I think that's what affects the game the most, and I think that opportunity is what excited me. Obviously, man, we have some key pieces. We just made some phenomenal additions to the line. Obviously, Oweh, Omenihu, myself, man, we already had some existing pieces in Armstrong and Payne and Kinlaw. So the moon and the galaxy is far from the ceiling anymore. So, man, I'm excited for this opportunity, man. And that's all I've been thinking about throughout this whole time is the potential and opportunity that we have as a defense to take over games. Obviously, Durante coming over from Minnesota. I was literally telling him, man, I got a chance to watch the game that they played against Detroit. And it was just so dominating in a way of defense, man, how they took over and dictated in every way they wanted to on early downs and on pass downs. So that's exciting to be a part of, especially as a pass rusher, man. You get to the quarterback and seeing how many guys within their system had double-digit sacks throughout their years there. So I'm looking forward to it once again, and I think it's everything and more to come for sure.
How much better is the Commanders' pass rush now with these additions at edge defender? Odafe Oweh, Chaisson, and Charles Omenihu. The Commanders on Friday afternoon officially announced having signed Kansas City Chiefs unrestricted free agent edge defender Charles Omenihu. The 2026 season will be his age 29 season. He was taken by the Houston Texans in the 5th round of the 2019 NFL Draft out of the University of Texas. Played for the Texans for the 2019 season to the 2021 season, and then was traded to the San Francisco 49ers on November 2nd, 2021, what was 2021 NFL trade deadline day. Commanders general manager Adam Peters was the Niners assistant GM when they traded for Omenihu. He played for the Niners for the rest of the 2021 season and for the 2022 season, signed with the Kansas City Chiefs as an unrestricted free agent in March 2023 and played for them for the 2023 through 2025 seasons. But Omenihu in the Chiefs' 17-10 win at the Baltimore Ravens in the AFC Championship game for the 2023 season on January 28th, 2024, suffered a torn right ACL. He did a press conference on Friday afternoon. We, during the presser, had this exchange between John Keim and Omenihu.
So this is kind of a two-part question that's not really related, but I'm going to sneak in the second one. First of all, how do you feel with your knee and the recovery a couple years out now? That's one. Then secondly, you talk about their versatility. What allows you to, because I saw a lot of rushes inside, so what allows you to be an effective rusher inside?
Yeah, so my knee is perfectly fine. I feel great. I think being 2 years removed now, any maybe small little hiccup here or there, I think will be gone. And again, like, you got some time before the season starts to really iron out anything else. So, but overall, I feel great. I feel just as good as, or even better than before I got hurt. And then as far as like what allows me to be versatile, I think it would just be my length, size, and I just feel comfortable rushing really anywhere. Honestly, anywhere where I can get a one-on-one, and any matchup I feel very comfortable in. I did it in college. I've done it in college. I did it when I got drafted to Houston. I did it with the Niners. I did it with the Chiefs. So it was just something that I found fun, honestly. I think it's really fun to be able to just rush anywhere. So just kind of continue to build that over my career.
All right. Now, we should note this about Charles Omenihu. He, in August 2023, was suspended by the NFL for 6 regular season games without pay for violating the league's personal conduct policy. The suspension was for him in January 2023, being arrested on suspicion of misdemeanor domestic violence. Although the situation did not go anywhere legally. I tell you, these situations are so often so tough to judge in terms of guilt and innocence, but he did serve a 6-game suspension. Here was Charles Omenihu on Friday afternoon on why he signed with the Commanders.
I think the attraction was just the plan, and it starts from the top. Adam Peters, AP, I've known him since when I was with the Niners, so I know that he understands exactly what it's supposed to look like. And Coach Quinn, he's had success everywhere he's been at, especially with defensive linemen, and how he's deployed defensive linemen up front and moved them around and really put them in positions to be at their best. Coach Henderson, another guy that's had success at the highest level. He's won a Super Bowl. He knows also how to deploy defensive linemen, put them in their best skill set. I've had many conversations with him, and I just love their plan for me, honestly. Before I signed, I had a conversation with the entire staff, the defense, and AP and Coach Quinn, and they illustrated a plan for me that I feel like is going to get me back exactly where I was at 2 seasons ago. The success that I had, I don't think it's far-fetched or far gone at all. I feel great body-wise. I just think the plan that they have for me is just really going to expose my strengths and put me in positions to rush, put me in positions to play the run at a high level. And I love that. And then also, man, if you just look at the other guys that they brought in, I've been in the league for 8 years now, and a lot of these guys I know, and I know them personally. There's a lot of really, really good players that they brought in, really good players that are already on this team. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's big strides here this year.
Would be great to see that. The Commanders have been bad on defense in each of the last 3 seasons, 2023 through 2025. The last good defense for the team was the 2022 defense. We, on Friday afternoon, had this back and forth between Ben Standig and Charles Omenihu.
You talked about you really like the plan that they had for you. Just to drill down on a little bit, is that more like kind of like where they see you lining up? Is that kind of where you're talking about?
Yeah, so they broke it down in the run game and they broke it down in the pass game. And, it's been a little while since I've been in a under front. So just understanding like, hey, the advantageous positions I'll be in, it all just made sense. Like I said, this is my 8th year in the league, so I can quickly kind of understand somebody having a plan and somebody just not having a plan. And when you do have a plan, that breeds success. So just having a plan in the run game and how it'll be a lot of individual one-on-one blocks, how it'll be a lot of just, I wouldn't say easy because in the NFL nothing's easy, but where you're not going to be in a position where you could be not in an advantage, And then in the pass game, rushing inside, I can't wait, honestly, to be in a system where, they believe in the 4-man, 5-man rush, games, twist stunts, and you're going to be with guys like my boy Oweh, K. Levon and J.K. and Payne, and Dorrance when he gets right. And so, I mean, bro, I just listed a whole bunch of guys who have done very well in other places. Obviously, Payne was here his whole career, but other guys have done very well in other places, and just know how they know how to rush. And then Leo, my boy Leo's here, so yeah, man, the plan is just I love it, I like it, it's rejuvenating, and I can't wait to get going.
And I was going to take advantage of you knowing Leo to ask about him. What do you think ultimately he's going to kind of bring both on the field and into the locker room?
Yeah, Leo's a Class A teammate, first and foremost. And Leo's a physical player. You know, when you watch Leo's tape, you're going to see that he takes no prisoner. He's versatile. Leo's a great blitzer. I think Leo has really, really good coverage skills. I know people might be sleep on that, but Leo can run with the best of them, you know. So Leo he can play anywhere. He's played on the edge. He's played obviously in the box as a backer. He's been a blitzer. He's been a spy. He has great speed, and so in the locker room as well, he's just a very high energy, positive guy. I've never seen Leo mad or have any fuss with teammates. So I think just that good energy he's going to bring in the locker room. And again, Leo's been 3 Super Bowls or 2 or 3, whatever. I mean, just as much as I have. So that championship pedigree as well, as a young player too.
Good to hear the thoughts of Charles Omenihu on Leo Chenal. I'm pumped about Chenal. He might be my favorite acquisition for the Commanders so far this offseason. Hey, thank you to all of you who have given this podcast a 5-star rating and who have written nice reviews of the podcast. You on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify can both rate the podcast and write reviews. 5-star ratings are greatly appreciated. Positive reviews are greatly appreciated.
The 2026 NCAA March Madness Men's Tournament is back, and it's guaranteed to keep you dancing every night. The biggest event in college sports is finally here, and TNT Sports has you covered, from the opening tip to the final buzzer and everything in between. Keep up with all the heart-pumping, show-stopping craziness of March Madness across TBS, CBS, TNT, True TV, and the March Madness Live app as we march all the way to Indianapolis. And this year, the men's Final Four returns to TBS on April 4th and 6th. Catch all the clutch shots, big-time plays, upsets, Cinderellas, blue bloods, and more that keep you on the edge of your seat. You're not going to want to miss a second of the action, so tune in to the NCAA Men's First Four starting tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern on True TV and in the March Madness Live app.
Bleacher Report is your destination for sports, and, well, I would know. Hey, everybody, Trey Wingo here, longtime sports host, and it's my favorite time of the year. NFL free agency is in full swing. It's March Madness. Major League Baseball is back. The NBA and NHL are heating up as well. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. You can follow the teams you care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. And we all know the best part of sports is the community. Bleacher Report makes it easy to drop your takes and relive every moment with other fans. It's fast, it's personalized, and it keeps me in the game no matter where I am. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
Let's talk college basketball. Sunday was Selection Sunday, as we on Sunday evening learned of the teams that made the 2026 NCAA tournament. 4 teams from the Mid-Atlantic region made the 2026 NCAA tournament: Virginia, VCU, Howard, and UMBC. We have number 3 seeded Virginia versus number 14 seeded Wright State at Xfinity Mobile Arena in Philadelphia on Friday afternoon at 1:50 in the first round. We have number 11 seeded VCU versus number 6 seeded North Carolina at Bon Secours Wellness Arena in Greenville, South Carolina on Thursday evening at approximately 6:50 in the first round. And Howard and UMBC, each team is a 16 seed. Each team is in a first 4 game, and the schools are playing each other. Number 16 seeded Howard versus number 16 seeded UMBC at UD Arena in Dayton, Ohio on Tuesday evening at 6:40. Also, the field for the 2026 National Invitation Tournament, the NIT, came out on Sunday night. 4 teams from the Mid-Atlantic region are in the 2026 2026 NIT, George Mason, George Washington, Navy, and Liberty. We have number 3 seeded George Mason, home to Liberty, Tuesday evening at 6 in the first round. We have George Washington at number 4 seeded Utah Valley, Wednesday night at 8 in the first round. We have Navy at number 1 seeded Wake Forest, Wednesday night at 7 in the first round. But not competing in the 2026 NIT is Virginia Tech. It on Friday afternoon announced that the program had, quote, elected to decline an opportunity to compete in the 2026 National Invitation Tournament, end quote. Read the statement in its entirety, quote, Virginia Tech men's basketball has elected to decline an opportunity to compete in the 2026 National Invitation Tournament, given the current health status of members of our roster and the need for a number of our student athletes to focus on recovery and preparation for their professional careers. We believe it is in the best interest of our players and the long-term direction of our program to conclude our season at this time. While we respect the tradition and competitiveness of the NIT, the standard for our program remains clear. Our expectation is to compete in the NCAA tournament. Our staff and student athletes are already focused on the work ahead, and we are committed to doing everything necessary this offseason to return Virginia Tech to the big dance in 2027, end quote. Now, Tech head coach Mike Young had indicated that he wanted the team continuing to play this season. Making the NCAA tournament was not happening, so presumably Mike Young was talking about playing in the NIT. Tech in the 2025-2026 regular season went 19-12 overall, including 8-10 in the ACC. Tech in the 2026 ACC tournament went 0-1, but making the NIT could have happened, was likely to happen, but Tech said no thanks. Why? Well, I'm guessing that this was not Mike Young's decision. And if you read/listen between the lines on the statement, this does seem to have been a player's decision, i.e., in this era of NIL and the NCAA transfer portal, players don't want to risk injury in a postseason tournament that to them does not mean much. It's also possible that this was an administration decision, but I'd be surprised if Mike Young was behind Tech saying no thanks to the NIT. Virginia Tech on April 7th, 2019 announced the hiring of Mike Young as head coach, of him having spent the previous 17 seasons as Wofford's head coach. But Tech this season did not make the NCAA tournament for a 4th consecutive season. This off having made the NCAA tournament in each of the previous 2 seasons, including winning the 2022 ACC tournament. I on this podcast have wondered about the future of Mike Young as Tech head coach. You wonder what this decision to say no thanks to the NIT might say about the future of Mike Young as Tech head coach. But, you know, this is a bad look for Virginia Tech saying no thanks to the NIT. Virginia Tech isn't exactly Kentucky when it comes to college basketball, okay? Tech has a very underwhelming history in men's basketball. The Hokies saying no thanks to the NIT. The Hokies essentially saying we're above the NIT for whatever reason comes off as arrogant and delusional. Like, seriously, you're Virginia Tech, okay? You're not exactly UCLA in the 1960s and 1970s. When it comes to college basketball. When it comes to conference tournaments over the weekend, a nice run for Virginia in the 2026 ACC tournament, which took place at Spectrum Center in Charlotte, North Carolina. Number 2 seeded Virginia routed number 3 seeded Miami 84-62 on Friday night in the semis, but number 2 seeded Virginia lost to number 1 seeded Duke 74-70 on Saturday night in the final. Competitive game, 16 lead changes, 12 ties. Each team held the other's true freshman leading scorer to a rough performance. Duke held UVA 6'9" Belgian true freshman Testa Ritter in 29 minutes 15 seconds as a starter to just 5 points. He went 1 for 6 from the field, 0 for 1 on threes, and 1 for 5 on twos. Went 3 for 4 on free throws. Did have 6 rebounds, including 3 offensive boards, but he had no assists versus 3 turnovers. But UVA held Duke 6'9" true freshman Cameron Boozer in 35-03 as a starter to just 3 3 for 17 from the field, 1 for 5 on threes, and 2 for 12 on twos, and he went to 6 for 9 on free throws. He did, however, flirt with a triple-double as he finished with 13 points, 8 rebounds, including 5 offensive boards and 8 assists versus 3 turnovers. And then there is UVA's shot-blocking monster, 7-foot Nigerian Kansas State transfer Ugonna Onyenso. He, on Saturday night, in 22-21 as a reserve, had 9 blocks, the second most blocks by a player in an ACC tournament game ever. He, over UVA's 3 games in this 2026 ACC tournament, had 21 blocks, shattering the record for most blocks by a player in an ACC tournament. The previous record was 14 by Wake Forest Tim Duncan in the 1995 ACC tournament. Also, how about this? UVA head coach Ryan Odom, he advanced to a conference tournament championship game as a head coach for a 4th consecutive season, 2023 for Utah State, 2024 and 2025 for VCU, and 2026 for UVA. A tremendous season number 1 for Odom as UVA head coach. A tremendous season number 1 for Phil Martelli Jr. as VCU head coach as the successor to Odom. Number 2 seeded VCU won the 2026 Atlantic 10 tournament, which took place at PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh Friday evening. A 71-66 win over number 7 seeded Duquesne in the quarterfinals. Saturday, a 77-64 win over number 3 seeded St. Joseph's in the semis. And Sunday afternoon, a 70-62 win over number 4 seeded Dayton. VCU and St. Louis were co-A10 champions for the regular season, and now VCU has won the A10 tournament. VCU's 6'3" Terrence Hill Jr. was named Most Outstanding Player of the tournament. Howard won the 2026 MEAC tournament, which took place at Norfolk Scope Arena in Norfolk, Virginia. Howard was the number 1 seed off winning the MEAC regular season title. Friday evening, a 78-61 win over number 5 seeded South Carolina State in the semis. Saturday afternoon, a 70-63 win over number 3 seeded North Carolina Central in the final. Howard's 6'4" Bryce Harris was named the MEAC tournament's outstanding player. Howard's head coach is Kenneth Blakeney. He was hired in May 2019, knows the area well. He went to DeMatha Catholic High School in Hyattsville, Maryland, played for legendary head coach Morgan Wooten, then played collegiately at Duke. This is the 3rd time in 4 seasons that Blakeney has Howard having won the MEAC tournament and in the NCAA tournament. Kenneth Blakeney is doing a terrific job as the head coach of the Bison. UMBC won the 2026 America East tournament. The number 1 seeded Retrievers beat number 2 seeded Vermont 74-59 at Chesapeake Arena in Baltimore on Saturday in the final. What a season for the Retrievers. So they won their first outright America East regular season title since 2008 and then won the America East tournament and now are in an NCAA tournament for the first time since 2018. When you know what happened, March 16th, 2018, UMBC made Virginia the first number 1 seed in men's basketball history to lose to a number 16 seed in an NCAA tournament as UVA got humiliated by UMBC 74-54 in Charlotte. However, UVA got the ultimate redemption in winning the 2019 national title. But in the irony of ironies, UMBC's head coach at the time was current UVA head coach Ryan Odom. UMBC's current head coach is Jim Ferry. He was hired in April 2021. The America East Tournament Most Outstanding Player was UMBC's 6'4" DJ Armstrong Jr., son of former NBA player Darrell Armstrong. And did you happen to see or hear about what the official X account for UMBC Athletics posted on Saturday afternoon? Quote, as the only team in the state of Maryland to make the men's tournament, we look forward to a large bandwagon, end quote. A shot at the University of Maryland, but my school deserves that after the season that the Terrapins just had. There's also the season that Georgetown just had. Georgetown's 3rd season with Ed Cooley as head coach is over. The Cinderella run for the Hoyas in the 2026 Big East tournament came to an emphatic end. Number 11 seeded Georgetown lost to number 2 seeded UConn 67-51 at Madison Square Garden in New York City on Friday night in the semis of the Big East tournament. Georgetown, in playing its third game in 3 nights, never held a lead. It was good to see Georgetown make this run to the semis, especially considering that the Hoyas were without one of their best players in 6'4" Arizona transfer KJ Lewis. He was done for the season due to a left ankle injury that he suffered in a 76-60 loss to Marquette at Capital One Arena on February 24th. But still, overall, a disappointing season number 3 for Georgetown with Ed Cooley as head coach. Overall record of 16-18. The Hoyas in the regular season went 14-17 overall, including 6-14 in the Big East. And the Hoyas in the Big East tournament went 2-1. Here was Ed Cooley during his post-game press conference late night on Friday night.
You know, proud of our group, proud of the way we played in this Big East tournament. It's always a pleasure to play in here. But overall, really disappointed. You know, happy how we played in this tournament. Very, very disappointed in the overall body of work that Georgetown men's basketball put in this season. I did not see this coming from a win-loss situation. So we got a lot of things to address in order to get back to this game next year and try to become an NCAA tournament team. The Big East needs Georgetown to be good for us to continue to build as an organization in the Big East.
Well said by Ed Cooley. You know, Georgetown now has had an overall winning record in terms of regular season and postseason in just 2 of the last 11 seasons. What has happened to Georgetown is sad. And also in the Atlantic 10 tournament, number 9 seeded George Washington lost to number 1 seeded St. Louis 88-81 on Friday in the quarterfinals. The Revolutionaries blew a 21-point first-half lead, a brutal loss for GW in its 4th season with Chris Caputo as head coach.
The 2026 NCAA March Madness Men's Tournament is back, and it's guaranteed to keep you dancing every night. The biggest event in college sports is finally here, and TNT Sports has you covered from the opening tip to the final buzzer and everything in between. Keep up with all the heart-pumping, show-stopping craziness of March Madness across TBS, CBS, TNT, True TV, and the March Madness Live app as we march all the way to Indianapolis. And this year, the men's Final Four returns to TBS on April 4th and 6th. Catch all the clutch shots, big-time plays, upsets, Cinderellas, blue bloods, and more that keep you on the edge of your seat. You're not going to want to miss a second of the action, so tune in to the NCAA Men's First Four starting tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern on True TV and in the March Madness Live app.
Bleacher Report is your destination for sports, and, well, I would know. Hey, everybody, Trey Wingo here, longtime sports host, and it's my favorite time of the year. NFL free agency is in full swing. It's March Madness. Major League Baseball is back. The NBA and NHL are heating up as well. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. You can follow the teams you care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. And we all know the best part of sports is the community. Bleacher Report makes it easy to drop your takes and relive every moment with other fans. It's fast, it's personalized, and it keeps me in the game no matter where I am. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
Well, the Washington Capitals on Sunday afternoon announced having signed defenseman Cole Hudson to a 3-year entry-level contract beginning this season. The Caps took Hudson in the second round of the 2024 NHL Draft. He's just 19 years old, was a star for Boston University. How much can he help the Caps in their push for the Stanley Cup playoffs? Hopefully a lot, because the Caps right now need all of the help that they can get. What is up with the Caps in shootouts? So the Caps in the NHL's 2025-2026 regular season now are just 1-6 in shootouts. A 3-2 shootout loss to the Boston Bruins at Capital One Arena on Saturday in the Caps' lone game over the weekend. And in a big game from a standing standpoint, the Caps now are 33-27-8, good for 74 points, tied with the Philadelphia Flyers for 5th place in the NHL's wildcard standings and tied with the Flyers for fifth place in the 8-team Metropolitan Division, but the Caps have played 2 more games than the Flyers have played, and the Caps now are 6 points behind the Boston Bruins and Detroit Red Wings for one of the Eastern Conference's 2 wildcard spots. So Boston and Detroit, each team has 80 points, so the Bruins have played 1 fewer game than the Red Wings have played, and the Caps now are 7 points behind the Pittsburgh Penguins and New York Islanders for second and third place in the Metro. The Penguins have played 1 fewer game than the Islanders have played. The top 3 teams in each division make the Stanley Cup playoffs, but bottom line, the Caps have just 14 games left in this regular season, and the Caps now have lost 5 of their last 7 games. The Caps in this shootout lost to the Bruins at Capital One Arena on Saturday, lost the puck possession battle. The Caps had 27 shots on goal to the Bruins 34, and per natural stat trick had 34 5-on-5 shot attempts to the Bruins 39, including just 3 5-on-5 high danger shot attempts to the Bruins 7. The Caps starting goaltender was their number 1 goaltender, Logan Thompson. He was very good. He stopped 32 of the 34 shots on goal that he faced. He hung in a shootout that ended up lasting for 9 rounds. So also, the Caps went 4 for 4 on the penalty kill. So some good stuff for the Caps in this game, but they went 0 for 3 on the power play. Now, the Caps' final power play should have been a lengthy 5-on-3 for the Caps when the puck clearly went over the glass for delay of game, but the linesman ruled that the puck had been shot off a yellow plate at the bottom of the board. So the Caps got screwed in not getting the lengthy 5-on-3. But look, the Caps' power play has been so bad, there's zero guarantee that they would have done anything with a lengthy 5-on-3. Each of the Caps' goals in this game came from a defenseman Matt Roy. He scored an even-strength goal 1:15 into the second period for a second goal in this regular season, and a really good game for defenseman Rasmus Sandin. He scored an unassisted even-strength goal 3:12 into the third period for his 4th goal in this regular season. Also, he had a primary assist for his 20th assist in this regular season. He had a team-high tying 4 shots on goal. He had a game-high 4 block shots, and he was number 2 on the Caps in 5-on-5 shot attempt percentage for the game per natural stat trick at 60. The Caps with Sandin on the ice in 5-on-5 situations in the game had 15 shot attempts versus allowing 10 shot attempts. Caps top-line left wing Alex Ovechkin, he had no points and 5 total shot attempts, including 3 shots on goal. The Caps' healthy scratches for this shootout loss to the Bruins at Capital One Arena on Saturday were defensemen Declan Chisholm and Dylan McElrath and winger Ivan Miroshnichenko. Also, forward David Kampf still has not played for the Caps, off them acquiring him via trade with the Vancouver Canucks on March 6th. What was 2026 NHL trade deadline day. The Caps traded a 6th-round pick in the 2026 NHL draft to the Canucks for Kampf. He has been dealing with a visa issue, and his wife is pregnant, but he has not played in any of the Caps' 5 games since the trade. Not that he's some elite player, but what was the point of the trade if this guy isn't playing for the Caps down the stretch of the regular season? Anyway, the Caps in this shootout loss to the Bruins at Capital One Arena on Saturday got a point, but the Caps from this game really needed 2 points. So the post-game press conference of Caps head coach Spencer Carberry on Saturday evening began with this exchange between Caps insider Tarek El-Bashir of Monumental Sports Network and Carberry.
Coach, you guys did a lot of things well in a very important game. Where do you think, did you fall short? What did you need more of?
So I think it's a highly competitive game against a good hockey team. So when you get into those games, it's a fine line, right? So there's a few plays that could go either way on both sides. I thought we did enough good things to win that game. So what would you say is the difference, other than obviously the obvious one being the shootout? To win that game in regulation, could use one of those power plays, no question, but our penalty kill did a great job as well, so they had some opportunities there. We killed the 5-on-3. We don't capitalize on our power plays, but I thought we had some good looks too that we just, we put ourselves in good spots. We just didn't finish those opportunities on Swayman.
All right, next up for the Caps, home to the Ottawa Senators, Wednesday night at 7:30. So our rebuilding and tanking Washington Wizards, they on Monday night begin a stretch of 5 games in 7 days. A lot of opportunities over the next week for more losses for our team, which now has the second worst record in the NBA. 1 game for the Wizards over the weekend, a 111-100 loss at the Boston Celtics on Saturday evening. The Wizards in the NBA's 2025-2026 regular season now are 16-50. They are in excellent shape for keeping the reported top 8 protected pick in the perceived to be loaded 2026 NBA draft. The Wizards need to finish with one of the 6 worst records in the NBA in order to guarantee not picking lower than 8. The Wizards in this loss at the Celtics on Saturday evening trailed for all of the second, third, and fourth quarters. Keyshawn George did not play for a 6th consecutive game due to a partial tear of the UCL in his left elbow. Anthony Davis did not play for a 17th time in 17 games since being acquired by the Wizards via trade on February 5th, what was 2026 NBA trade deadline day. He's not playing due to a finger sprain on his left hand. D'Angelo Russell did not play for a 17th time in 17 games since being acquired by the Wizards via the Anthony Davis trade. Russell is being listed as not being with the Wizards. He may never play for the Wizards, and Cam Whitmore is done for the season due to right shoulder deep vein thrombosis. The biggest bright spot for the Wizards in this loss at the Celtics on Saturday evening was Tristan Vukcevic. He was the Wizards' leading scorer. He in 20 minutes, 18 seconds as a reserve had 22 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist versus 2 turnovers, and a team best plus-minus rating of plus 21. He went 6 for 7 on threes, 1 for 2 on twos, and 2 for 2 on free throws. But the Wizards overall did not play well. 2 starters, Alex Sarr and Trey Johnson, they went a combined 4 for 22 from the field. 2 for 12 on threes and 2 for 10 on twos. Next up for the Wizards are 3 games in 4 days, including games on back-to-back nights. Home to the Golden State Warriors Monday night at 7, home to the Detroit Pistons Tuesday night at 7, and home to the Detroit Pistons Thursday night at 7. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Tuesday show, episode 1282. We'll have plenty for you on the Washington Commanders. Also on Tuesday's show, we'll talk Washington Wizards. They're home to the Golden State Warriors Monday night at 7. Have a great rest of your Monday, and I'll talk to you on Tuesday.
I think Jerome in the house.
The sun's shining, birds are singing, and all feels right in the world.
Until the season changes, and suddenly you lose your motivation to get out of bed. In fact, 1 in 5 people experience some form of depression, no matter the season or time of year.
At the American Psychiatric Association Foundation, our vision is to build a mentally healthy nation for all, because we want you to live your best life and be your best you all year round.
Please visit mentallyhealthynation.org to learn more.